started thinking how cool it is. You know, in a way, it's cool. I mean, scars may not be cool, but I mean, they have a story attached to every scar. I had like, I don't know, 20 some stitches on the outside, and then I had stitches on the inside to hold the tissue together because it was really gaping open. But I was hung up there on the fence. Well, we've got another rainy day in western North Carolina. And for me, it's just another day of coffee in the van, watching the rain, which is fine with me, except that it's cold outside. I love the rain, but not when it's this cold. I just went and got a cup of coffee from a different place than I usually go. Thought I'd expand my horizons today. Like I say, it's raining and it's cold. I went out this morning with my friend, my neighbor. We had coffee and chatted, and I think I got back to the house around, I don't know, around 1 o'clock, maybe a little bit after 1. And I remembered I had to ship something, so I packed it up, went to the post office, and then while I was out, I'm like, man, I hear another cup of coffee calling my name. So here I am. I don't know if you ever noticed it, but I have a scar right across my nose. I mean directly across my nose. That came from when I was about 15 years old. I was riding my Kawasaki 350 dirt bike really fast. Somebody on the back, one of my friends, just being two stupid, silly boys, 15 years old, flying through a cornfield, which I shouldn't have been doing because I was probably destroying some corn for the old man that lived there, at that farm. But I got instant karma. Absolutely. I ran into one of his sprinkler systems, and it made us wreck. And in the process, I cut myself right across the nose. So this has been a reminder for all these years of me driving through that cornfield, which I should not have been doing. And my friend didn't get hurt. It was just me. It was fun, though. We still laughed, even though I had blood, coming down my face. It was still, we still laughed about it. And then up here on my head, I have a scar right here somewhere, really pretty big scar. Now that came, I was under 10. I must have been 6 or 7. And someone threw a rock way from a distance. He said he had no idea that he could hit me. And he shouldn't have been throwing the rock, of course, at me. But he said he didn't think he would hit me. But he did. He hit me right in the head. Boom, busted my head open. So I have a scar right here across my nose. And then I have one right here from the rock being thrown at me. And then that made me start thinking like, well, memories, man. These scars, they have memories attached to them. This is my motorcycle wreck. This is the rock hitting me when I was really young. I must have been like 5 or 6. And then I got one, let's see. I got a scar right here on my arm. It's just a little scar about that big. And I remember I was little also. I was probably 4 or 5 years old. And we used to go pick wild huckleberries out toward the phosphate mine pits where I live, just a few miles out from where I live. And I was reaching through to get some huckleberries off of this huckleberry bush, and there was a barbed wire fence. And I just cut myself right there. It didn't seem that bad at the time, but it's been a scar that's been with me ever since. It's right there. It's about that big. And then I have a scar somewhere right here on my arm. It's about that long. And that came later in life. I was doing a documentary. This old building, they were trying to renovate it to restore a hotel that used to be there many, many, many years ago. And there was a stack of debris like in the hallway, and when I walked by, I brushed against one of those metal panels that I think it was like a roof panel, but it was like tin, and it just like sliced me like a knife. That was only about 15 years ago, but I still have a scar there. And then I have a scar on my ankle, my inner ankle. I was playing third base when I was, again, probably about 15, maybe 16. Anyway, I was playing third base. A guy was running around from second base, and he was about to slide into third base. The ball was coming. I was catching the ball, and he slid in a way. He had his cleats up in the air, metal cleats, and he just ripped open my ankle, and it was bleeding bad, really bad. And that's actually when I stayed in the game. And when I was up the bat the next time with blood running down my leg, the umpire was like, "Man, you're a tough kid." Said, "Do you play football?" And I'm like, "No, I don't ever play football." "Well, why don't you come out, and play some football with this? It starts up in a few weeks." And anyway, that's another story. Oh yeah, and I have one more prevalent scar, and I'm just talking about the ones that you kind of notice, because I have other ones too. But I have it on my outer thigh. And this came from when I was in college, and I had a broken wine glass, and I threw it in the trash bag, and the trash bag was very heavy, and when I went to lift it to throw it in the dumpster, it was sticking out. I didn't know it, but that glass was sticking out of the side of the bag, and it just like sliced my outer thigh right here, and it bled like crazy. I had like, I don't know, 20 some stitches on the outside, and then I had stitches on the inside to hold the tissue together because it was really gaping open. I have a scar on my knee, which is very visible, but I don't really recall what happened to my knee. But the other ones, they all just tell a tale. Different times of my life, from college back to when I was 4 or 5 years old. Pretty crazy. And my oldest son, very careful. I don't know if he has any scars, because he's very, very careful. He very aware of his safety and always making sure. My youngest son, he probably has twice as many scars as I do already, and he's only 11. He's got them everywhere, on his legs, knees, arms. He's got one on his forehead, I'm pretty sure, because he's very like a daredevil. Well, I mean, an example. We dug not a hole, but in the backyard we dug straight down, and we were clearing out an area to maybe put a roof over it. It was pretty deep. It was 4 foot maybe. So I lined some rocks up, big rocks, and told him, stay away from this area on your bike. Don't go near it. Well, somehow he ended up going over the side of it, flipping the bike up over on top of himself. That's the norm for him. He's a daredevil. He acted like he just like somehow fell off the side of the cliff, but yeah, he was being a daredevil, I'm sure. Anyway, tonight's church night. We'll be going to church later on. I just, like I said, wanted to get out and have a little cup of coffee. And I started, just thinking about, I don't know what. I just happened to see this scar today, and then that made me think of the one on my forehead, which in turn made me think of, this one and that one and this one. And then I started thinking how cool it is. In a way, it's cool. I mean, scars may not be cool, but I mean, they have a story attached to every scar. I only wish I could remember the one on my knee, because it's pretty probably, you can see it pretty well. I can't remember though why I have a scar on my knee. Oh yeah, I remembered one more. It's on my thumb. No, not that one though. Actually, oh, right here. I have a scar right here. It's kind of a jagged scar. Now, I did that my first year of baseball. I was 9 years old. I was playing the outfield, and somebody hit a ball, and it was just barely going to go over the fence. And I jumped up to catch it. And when I came down, it was one of those chain link fences that has, they didn't have a bar. Well, they did have a bar, but the fence extended beyond the bar. All these sharp spikes. And I was hung up there, literally hung up. They had to come and get me down. And that was when I was 9 years old, so I still have that. See, that's a good memory. Because I almost made a good catch, but I didn't. But I was hung up there on the fence. Anyway, you know what? I'm cold. I'm going to start this heater. It's not a heater, but my little propane stove here. Here we go. Got it burning now, and I'm going to sit here and warm up a little bit, finish my coffee, and then I have to go home and start thinking about getting ready to go to church tonight. Which basically, I think I'm just going to wear this, minus the hat, of course. Woo. All right, guys. I really appreciate you joining me. Thank you so much. Woo. Don't forget to read the 23rd Psalm, the 91st, the Lord's Prayer. We do that every day. And it really does bring peace. It really does bring peace within my soul. It really does. God is real. He's there. He's there for you. He'll protect you. He'll provide for you. You got to ask, and you got to, more importantly, you have to trust. Trust. You got to trust in the Lord. Okay. Take care. See you soon.